War is not, it's not nice.
This is nasty. People die. People get blown up. Lose limbs, people lose their minds. I wish, that would have never happened the way it did, but it did. I'm actually first generation American, born and raised here, not born in Puerto Rico. My biological dad was born there.
Cliff, he's a big dude, but he's a big teddy bear.
Very generous person, very friendly. He'll get to know anybody. Very energetic person. I love him. I love that guy.
Even though, born and raised here, not in Puerto Rico, that was a big thing, learning, to play ball. I think naturally it's, not to brag or anything, but I think it's, it's just in the blood. I could take a couple years off and it's still there, but I just gotta, practice to get out the kinks, but it's always gonna be there with me. I started playing baseball when I was on 5 or 6. It was really difficult for us, we didn't have the money like that, so to play organized ball and, with uniforms and in the league, it was very tough. My high school one was the far right one here, Thomas Jefferson.
High school baseball in New York is like nothing else. I don't care what anyone says.
My dream even was, as a kid, and then when I got to high school and then realized, what my coaches were telling me, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna go to college, play, and hopefully, get signed by a team and go into the minors and hopefully the big leagues.
Good evening. Today, our fellow citizens, our way of life, our very freedom came under attack in a series of deliberate and deadly terrorist acts. The search is underway for those who are behind these evil acts. I've directed the full resources of our intelligence and law enforcement communities to find those responsible and to bring them to justice. We will make no distinction between the terrorists who committed these acts and those who harbored them.
We're in the social studies class, and the teacher, we see her going back and forth out of the room. We're like, what's going on? And then she comes back in the room and starts crying, because apparently her brother was in the towers. And we hear the announcements that the schools are locked down, something's going on in Manhattan. My sister lived across the street from my high school, and we were outside. The next thing you know, you see people covered in this white dust. And these are people who walked from the World Trade Center, who were down in that area, who worked down there. Once I saw those people's faces and them covered in that dust, that white dust, that was it for me. I knew, that was going to be it. I was joining the Marine Corps.
You didn't need to be a patriot to watch those towers fall and be angry and want to fight and get some revenge. And here in New York, those were neighbors, family, friends. It didn't matter Afghanistan, Iraq, we just wanted to fight. And if you weren't 18, you waited, and once you could, you signed the dotted line and you went.
So I graduated in June of '04. I enjoyed that last summer with friends and playing some ball. And then I joined the Marine Corps that September. Even though I was playing ball and I was very good at it, my coach, Dan Daly, who used to be the scout for the San Francisco Giants, he was very upset at me because he was like, oh, a scholarship to like John Jay to play some baseball. And he was like, oh, you just need a little bit more and we're gonna get you into the college and this and that. My thing was not just because of what happened 9/11, but also the financial of my family, you know, something happens and I can't pay for college. If I lose a scholarship, I get hurt. And I thought about that, you know, how are they gonna help me pay for that? Everything all played a role in it, you know what I mean? I remember leaving New York actually, when we landed in South Carolina. And as soon as we got off the plane, some dudes in this tan uniform with this crazy looking cover, or this hat at the time, I was young, I didn't know what the hell it was. He's yelling, get against the wall, this and that. That's when I was like, what the hell did I just do to my life? Why did I do this? Where am I? Why? I was like, holy shit, this is not what I thought this was gonna be.
I was a drill instructor on Paris Island, and it'll be one of the most challenging things that you ever did, and one of the most proudest moments of your life. One thing different from all the branches is once you're a Marine, you're always a Marine. If I die today, on my tombstone, it's gonna say Marine on it.
I graduated boot camp 2 days before Christmas. My MOS 0621, tool rate operator. And I was at headquarters for a little bit, headquarters 511, and then I wound up going to Ramadi in 2006, so I left in March.
Get across! Go, 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 go!
I remember even leaving when we were leaving Camp Pendleton. I told my family, I was like, you know, don't come to say goodbye to me because, you know, you got to come all the way from the other side of the country. I was like, you know, because you're just going to come and say bye with me and that's about it. We'll probably spend maybe a couple hours. So I was like, don't come, you know, stay, you know, I'll see you when I get back. And I didn't know that, you know, so we were going into the most dangerous city in the world at that time. And then my buddy, as we're taking off to March Air Force Base, he's like, yeah, this may be the last time you see America. We were doing, you know, convoy security, like military police stuff. So it was very hectic and crazy, you know. I want to say I was 19. Yeah, 19. And, you know, when we got there, and then you start hearing the alarms going off, because, you know, the base is being attacked, we're getting attacked with mortars. That's when it crossed my mind, and I was like, this shit is real. This is not a game, you know what I mean? They weren't just telling me this on the flight here, the other Marines that already had deployed. You know, this is real life. When the first alarm went off, I think we were playing like checkers or something, and I ran, white skinny kid, motor T guy. I ran that Marine over, and he was trying to, we like passed each other, and I bumped into him. I'm like, got in my gear. And that was the first time, and I was like, yeah, this shit's real. You know, this hits us. You know, mortar directly, you're in trouble. Even if you're fully covered, you know, it can be fought. I was the machine gunner. I was, my machine gun that was up there with me was the Sutical. It was crazy because at that time we didn't have the up armor and we didn't have any of the glass yet. We got that halfway through the deployment. If I'm standing in the turret, I had like the bottom of my chest here up was all exposed. You know, the guy in the turret of a Humvee is pretty much a sitting duck. Yeah, I mean, for snipers and anything, and you're exposed, you're outside the vehicle, so.
There's a route called Route Red in Iraq, and Route Red is where they placed all the IEDs where most of us got hit.
One of the platoons, they were driving, doing the mission, and you see driver in the car, and the Marines actually taking photos, and it wound up being a vehicle-borne IED, like a suicide. The driver of that Humvee had hit his sleeve rolled up, and the window was open a little bit. That explosion happened on that Humvee. He wound up suffering burns, and then the vehicle commander of that vehicle would wind up getting a concussion.
When I was really young, I experienced my first combat death when I was in the military, and shit, I don't really remember what they feel like. I just remember what it felt like after.
I didn't think I was going to live past 22, and I'm still here, so.
You know, getting mortared, being shot at. For me personally, that was, I would say, the worst of it. But we didn't lose anybody, thank God. That's a rarity, especially at that time and what we were doing and how many missions and how long our missions were. In 2008, back to Iraq. It was like night and day, in all honesty. Because, you know, the war at this time was already dwindling down. The mission for us wasn't as severe like it was. This one, we were on the base. And that would have been my senior year playing with John Jay. So I was actually in outside Iraq on the overnight shift. So I'm there, I have internet access. So I'm typing it in. Let me see what they're doing. You know, this college team, you know, the school that I was supposed to go to if I would have went. And they actually won the championship here in New York that year when I was in Iraq. So I saw that and I was like, shit.
As soon as I joined, I was like, yo, this is too fucking easy. I'm gonna do 30 if these motherfuckers let me. I was good. I was like, well, I gotta just listen. It was straight. It was great. Fucking coming back from that deployment though.
Like, you can't really get into the nitty gritty of like your struggles and your hardships, your sadness, where you want, like, you want to, like, you really do want to open up. Like, military teaches you that you don't open up to anybody.
The military is not going to directly punish you for getting mental health help. The unit has them do the dirty work. You can either go ask for help, but then you're going to end up scrubbing shit from toilets and your mental health is already in the gutter. Or you just suck it up and you don't say anything.
Call it the deployment, just call it the experience. Right? The experience, you know, I got a disdain for humanity, man. I got an utter disdain for humanity.
It was tough, you know, leaving the, you know, the Marine Corps, and it's my life. It's not just a job. It's something that you're embedded in, and you know, you're part of that fabric. And I packed up for New York, brother. Came back to Brooklyn, and I wound up living with my mom. That's when everything hit me. Like, what was like happening to my life? You know, I'm back at my mom's house, like I'm some little kid. I went from, you know, leading Marines into battle, and this. You know, living in my mom's house, fucking doing graveyard shifts at the World Trade Center, and that was, you know, that was tough. You know, yeah.
No one teaches you how to be a veteran. Basically, just become a veteran once you get out. You don't know how much the military is actually helping you until you do get out.
Not having that sense of belonging, having that buddy to your left and right, that also hurts us. You know, from a team to like riding solo, like Jason Derulo. My friend Manny, I went to high school with him. He's like a brother, like, to me. He had a team and he invited me out, and then I started playing. Then it's been constant since then, you know?
I feel like for a lot of veterans, like, they're stuck in the house and have their anxiety and depression and stuff like that. Sometimes you just need to go out and do something. Like, who cares if it's softball?
After you go through experiences that sometimes the military likes to put people in, you become disdained. Between me, and Cliff, and a few other people that we know, we became disdained. A sense of purpose is hard to find. Cliff has found some purpose in baseball and playing softball.
Playing softball and like being a part of something, it's that, you know, one man can't do damage on the team, but, you know, it's a whole team effort in order to win. It's a sense of belonging. It's like a comfort zone for me. Even in certain situations, people are like, I'm nervous. I'm like, this is what I do, you know? It helps me not think about, you know, past traumas and stuff like that. I'm thinking about the game, you know? What am I about to do here in this position? Or if I'm in the field, in the outfield, well, you know, if the ball's hit to me, who's on base, how many runners, where I gotta throw it to, if it's a hit, or if I catch it, you know, if they gotta tag up. So, you know, it's very strategic baseball. You know, I know some people say baseball and softball, it's boring. But for me, you know, it's passion, and I love it.
Organized sports, they bring a community. Every day, I'd come across somebody, I'm like, yo, you need to go, like, get in BJJ, or, like, you need to go play, like, basketball, or you need to go do something active, because guess what? You need it in life.
Sports for me helps me out mentally in that aspect, because it gets my mind for those couple of hours. You know, it gives me that clarity for that time. Because, you know, like I said, baseball is strategic, and softball, I'm sure it does for other people too, that are not veterans that I play with, that, you know, they have shit going on in their life that, you know, it takes their mind off, and this is what they love to do, and it's the comfort, you know. Get out with the boys and play, I don't know, a little bit. You know, I love that. Get out with the boys and play. Hell yeah. Have a little boost.
Wake me up when September ends.